Have you ever pondered over the connection between war tactics and daily life battles? It's often said that life resembles a battlefield, and rightly so. Every day brings its own set of conflicts and difficulties that we need to effectively overcome. But imagine arming ourselves with the same strategies that have been used by some of the world's most renowned military geniuses. Welcome to our deep dive into Robert Greene's The 33 Strategies of War. This all-encompassing guide extrapolates lessons from the methodologies of historically significant figures known for their military aptitude and strategic wisdom, such as Napoleon Bonaparte, Sun Tzu, and Che Guevara. Don't be misled. This is not just a handbook for military strategists. This book acts as a resource for anyone looking to gain an advantage in personal and professional disputes. Greene divides the book into 5 unique sections, each highlighting different facets of warfare strategy. The initial section, the polymorphic battle, underscores the importance of flexibility and adaptability, teaching us to keep our adversaries guessing with non-traditional tactics. The subsequent section, the guerrilla war, educates us on how to utilize stealth and clandestineness to create momentum when we're in a weaker position. In the death ground, the next section, we are taught strategies to employ when everything else has proven ineffective. Here, audacious, assertive actions are crucial. The following part, the dirty war, examines the darker aspects of strategy involving trickery, spying, and psychological warfare. Lastly, in unconventional dirty war, Greene delves into the more manipulative and morally doubtful strategies warfare. Each of these sections is brimming with anecdotes and analyses from varied historical battles, making the strategies more relatable and adaptable to contemporary challenges. And every chapter concludes with a reversal segment that provides a counter to the strategy, warning us about when a specific tactic might backfire. Immerse ourselves in the tactics of conflict and triumph, and see how we can transfer them to our everyday lives. It's time to equip ourselves with the wisdom of the battlefield, maneuvering life with the strategic expertise of a veteran general. Imagine yourself as a chameleon, changing and adapting to your surroundings to outsmart your enemies. In the world of strategy, flexibility and adaptability are key. Just as the chameleon changes its colors to blend with the environment, a good strategist learns to change tactics based on the situation. One moment you're on the defensive, the next you're launching an unexpected attack. This fluidity keeps your opponents guessing, off balance, and unsure of your next move. Illustrate this, let's delve into one of the book's core strategies, the guerrilla war of the mind strategy. This strategy is inspired by guerrilla warfare, where smaller, less equipped forces manage to hold their own against larger, better equipped armies. How? By being unpredictable, by using the landscape to their advantage, by striking when least expected, and by disappearing into thin air before the enemy can retaliate. You might be thinking, that sounds great for an army, but how does it apply to my life? Well, consider this. Have you ever faced a situation where you felt outmatched? Maybe it was a negotiation with a more experienced colleague, or a competition with a more talented rival. In these situations, the guerrilla war of the mind strategy can be your secret weapon. Be unpredictable. Keep your plans and intentions hidden. Keep your opponents guessing about your next move. This creates a sense of uncertainty, which can unnerve and destabilize them. Use misdirection. Lead your opponents to believe you are moving in one direction, only to surprise them by moving in another. This can disorient them and give you an advantage. Finally, use the element of surprise. Strike when they least expect it. This could mean presenting a new idea in a meeting, or showing a new skill in a competition. The surprise factor can throw your opponents off balance and give you a chance to take the lead. Becoming unpredictable and adaptable can give you the upper hand in any conflict. The battlefield might change and the enemy might evolve, but with these strategies in your arsenal, you'll always be ready to face the challenge. What if the odds are against you? How do you turn your disadvantages into advantages? This is the essence of Robert Greene's death ground strategy, a tactic that thrives on the brink of desperation and survival. Imagine being a soldier, outnumbered and outgunned, and your survival hangs in the balance. The situation might seem hopeless, but this is where the death ground strategy comes into play. When you're on death ground, you have no choice but to fight ferociously for survival. It's a do-or-die situation, and this sense of urgency can provoke unprecedented levels of motivation and ingenuity. The result? A formidable force capable of turning the tide of war. Now let's bring this strategy into the realm of everyday life. Picture a time where you were cornered, perhaps a deadline looming over your head, or a project you just couldn't seem to crack. It's in these moments of desperation where the death ground strategy can be your lifeline. By treating these situations as a matter of survival, you can unlock a reservoir of determination and creativity you never knew you had. Death ground strategy is not just about overcoming adversity. It's also about creating your own death ground. This means deliberately putting yourself in high-stakes situations that force you to respond with the full force of your abilities. Much like a diamond formed under immense pressure, you too can shine brightest when the stakes are high. But remember, the death ground strategy is a double-edged sword. If misused, it can lead to reckless decisions and unnecessary risks. The key is to use it wisely and harness its power to propel you forward, not send you spiraling into disaster. When backed into a corner, it's not about the size of the dog in the fight, but about the size of the fight in the dog. So the next time you find yourself facing overwhelming odds, remember the death ground strategy. Embrace the pressure, face the challenge, and turn your disadvantages into your greatest strengths. Sometimes the best way to win a war is not with brute force, but with cunning and deception. This is where the art of deception, espionage, and psychological warfare comes into play, a realm Robert Greene explores with unflinching honesty in his book, The 33 Strategies of War. Consider the passive aggression strategy, the surface. This might seem like a tactic for the weak, but it's far more potent than it appears. It's a strategy that involves hiding your true intentions behind a facade of compliance, or even friendliness. By subtly resisting your opponent's demands or expectations, you can undermine their efforts without them even realizing it. There's the chain reaction strategy. This strategy is about setting off a series of events that will bring about a specific outcome. It involves creating situations where your opponents are forced to make decisions that, in turn, trigger further events, ultimately leading to their own downfall. Like setting up a row of dominoes, then gently tipping the first one over. These strategies may sound insidious, and indeed they can be. It's important to understand that they are tools, and like any tool, their ethical implications depend on how they're used. Business negotiations, for instance, the passive aggression strategy could translate into strategic silence, while the chain reaction strategy might be used to steer a competitor into making a move that benefits you. The most critical lesson here is about perception. What matters isn't the objective truth, but how things are perceived. You can control the narrative, shape perceptions, and influence decisions without ever resorting to direct confrontation. So remember, in the battlefield of life, it's not always about the truth, but about what's perceived to be the truth. Understand the war you're fighting, Greene stresses, as clarity about the nature of the conflict you are engaged in is crucial. This understanding helps in strategizing effectively and anticipating moves from the opposition. Avoid the battles you can't win. Another key lesson that teaches us to focus our energy and resources on conflicts where we have the most to gain and the highest chances of success. Turning the tables with defensive warfare is a powerful strategy that involves using patience, waiting for the right moment, and turning the strength of an aggressor against them. Similarly, the death ground strategy teaches us that placing oneself or one's team in a position where failure is not an option can lead to breakthrough solutions and extraordinary efforts. Misdirection, much like in magic, is pivotal in warfare. By directing your opponent's attention to what you want them to see, you can perform your strategic moves unnoticed. And while you're at it, control the narrative. This strategy is particularly powerful in psychological warfare, where perceptions often guide decisions more strongly than reality. Commit to the campaign, Greene argues, for every conflict requires commitment to a strategic campaign. A planned, phased set of maneuvers that leads to ultimate victory, and finally, adapt and overcome. The strategies of war, much like those needed in life's various battles, require an ability to adapt to changing circumstances and unexpected challenges. Remember, in the battlefield of life, your greatest weapon is your mind. So, strategize wisely, anticipate accurately, and act decisively. Your victory depends on it.